What's up, everyone? I'm proud to bring you this new deck archetype that I've thought about. For ages, I've been dreaming about mixing net damage and program trashing into a deck that makes it such that your programs are never ever safe, no matter whether they're in your rig or in your grid, because the moment you draw them, they are going to be trashed into your heap and then exiled using Chronos Project. Unfortunately, this deck idea isn't at its peak yet because Chronos Protocol, the ideal ID for this, has not been released yet. So now we just have to make do with Industrial Genomics. So I'm basically playing Power Shutdown in this deck, and coupled with the net damage from accessing shocks, I hope to be able to deny the runner's rig. And most runners won't see it coming simply because you're playing Jinteki, you expect net damage, not Grims and Archers, which I run quite a few of. So the IG concept is the same as my previous Industrial Genomics deck, which is flood archives with shocks as quickly as possible using Executive Bootcamp, and then proceed from there. Most of my eyes are end the run. The only ones that don't end the run are sentries, which trash programs. So here, my opening hand is good because it has a shock tutor in Executive Bootcamp and 2 eyes which I can stop Iain Sterling from in case he plays aggressively. So he runs on my bootcamp. I highly doubt he will pay 3 credits to trash it, but in the event he does, I'm not going to risk it, so I'm just going to tutor my shock right away. I'd rather keep it on the board so that I can use it to res one of my eyes at a discount later on, but never mind, it's okay. So my second turn, I power draw, knowing that he cannot get to my server because my ice ends the run. So having power draw, I'm now able to trash my shock. So now Archives is live. 1 net damage is not enough though, so I need to continue searching for more net damage in the form of shocks. So he basically solidifies his basic economy like every Iain Sterling deck does. In the meantime, I find myself starting to become flooded with agendas. So what I do here is to install the Melange and pitch the Chronos Project, knowing that he cannot trash the Melange at all. He has 0 credits to his name, so he has no way of contesting this. So he loads up KT, and of course doesn't run my remote, which is a smart thing to do against Jinteki most of the time. Here, I'm gonna get free 6 credits. I did not place a subliminal messaging last turn. It's quite obvious. I rather trash the shock. That means sacrificing 1 credit is totally worth it. I need to load the archives as quickly as possible because of my ID, and because more importantly I have a Melange out there, so I need to make it expensive for him to run. So he couldn't trash my Melange there. It costs 4 credits to trash. So yeah, I'm basically exerting my power right here, making the fullest use of my ID. Now he has a Fairy installed. I can't wait for him to run next turn, and he indeed does run my archives. I'll hit him for 2 net damage. Unfortunately, he does steal 1 agenda, but that's fine by me. Chronos Project is not very useful against criminals because they don't really run Recursion Infection anyway. And this one doesn't, almost certainly doesn't run Account-Siphon Recursion, so I don't have to worry about exiling his entire heap. So now that he has made successful runs for my servers, it's time to power shut down that Fairy. Usually you power shut down for 0, the minimum amount. However, I'm thinking of power shutting down for 1. Simple reason, that loads my archives immediately. So now all my assets cost 1 more to trash. This is why I choose to play Power Shutdown in Industrial Genomics. It's because it directly synergizes with my ID. I don't have to flood my hand with cards before discarding down. Power Shutdown just does the work for me. Unfortunately here, as you can see, it hit the Future Perfect. So if he does run archives, he will know that there's a Future Perfect there. But that's the beauty of playing Power Shutdown in Industrial Genomics, because he cannot, it's not equitable for him to run my archives knowing that there's 2 net damage waiting for him there. Is there an agenda in there? The chance is very low. Does he want to risk it? And even if he sees the Future Perfect, if he loses the side game, does he really want to run that back in my archives again to attempt to steal the Future Perfect? I don't think so. So that's why Power Shutdown is rather safe to play in Industrial Genomics, because usually in any other faction, after a Power Shutdown, you definitely want to check archives to make sure they are no agendas there. But here you can do it safely without the cover of Jackson Howard. Rather safely, relatively, I should say. In the meantime, he lets me score a medical breakthrough uncontested, and I see 2 more medical breakthroughs in my hand, so this is very lucky for me. So I prepare myself to score 1 more. If he does not contest my remote server or my HQ, I'm going to get a 2-2 score, which will be huge for me. So he attempts to contest the medical breakthrough. I let him go. It's only a swordsman on top of a lotus field. I can't really defend that. In retrospect, I should have raised the lotus field to tax him, but I chose not to. And in this position, I can actually score the medical breakthrough out of hand, but I have a bigger priority here right now, and that is to trash his ferry. That turns out to be a very big mistake, as you'll see later. But the reason why I didn't score an agenda at this point is because I knew that doing so would trigger his ability. So here is the big mistake. I didn't see this coming. He sneaked on me and pulled out 3 agenda points that I was supposed to fast advance. When I saw the Singdown beta hit the board, I knew I was toast. I should have seen this coming from the fact that he installed HQ interface. Why would he be in a rush to install HQ interface if he's not going to use it? If he is not, he knows that he cannot get through my 2 pieces of HQI safely. I should have seen that coming, and because of that, I basically lost the game right here. I needed to be able to score those medical breakthrough and clone retirement, because from now on, it's going to be impossible to score in a remote. I will attempt to do so because that's my only route to winning right now. Yes, so that was very, very unfortunate. If I were able to score the clone retirement and a medical breakthrough, I'll be 2 points away from winning. That's 2 more clone retirements, or maybe sneaking a Chronos project into my remote. That would do as well. So here, I attempt to bait him into my remote server. If I can successfully bait him, I'll be at a huge advantage because I do have an archer protecting my remote server, and he has no sentry breaker. But I don't think he's as silly to fall for it. Having seen the Grim in my deck, I'm not sure if he's seen the Grim in my deck, but nope, he's not going to run it. He's just going to install his Corroder, and I'll use Executive Bootcamp here. Now here, once again, I didn't think of the power of Bootcamp. What I should have done was to tutor Jackson with Bootcamp and start Jackson drawing up. Yeah. And then use Jackson to reshuffle my power shutdowns back into my deck. That should have been what I did, because you can see that he's very weak here. He's Iain Sterling. He probably doesn't run any other breakers other than Zuki Master and Corroder. If I'm able to erase the Zuki Master from his board, criminals have no recursion. He cannot get into any server with a Lotus Field or Enigma in it. So that should have been my priority, to retrieve a Jackson so that I can reshuffle my power shutdowns back in. But of course, I'm still not very familiar with this deck and the power of Executive Bootcamp. Its main purpose is to tutor shots, but one very important thing that you can do is to tutor Jackson Howards in time of need, especially against noise. This makes this deck actually a very good counter against noise because you're running Executive Bootcamp, which means that you will always get your Jackson Howards back. I should abuse this fact more often. So unfortunately for me, he is playing very safely, and rightfully so. He's very afraid of program trashing, so he's not running until he has his Sentry Breaker up. He just tutored Femme Fatale with Special Order, and he's pretty filthy rich right now. I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to install the Femme Fatale only because he wants to know which piece of ice to install it on, and I'm not going to give that away. I do not want him to fem my Archer. If I can avoid him femming my Archer, I think I'm good. He will probably fem something over R&D because that's where the action is going to be. So in the meantime, I attempt to bluff an agenda in my remote again. This is one of the core tenets of my deck, especially if I'm able to get to match point. The runner has to check my remote every single turn, because there could be a Chronos project or a Philotic Entanglement waiting to be scored. So nothing happens here. I immediately pump out my agenda, Clone Retirement, so that it will erase the bad part that I gained from him stealing my first Clone Retirement. So, yep. So it's not safe for me to score any agendas in the remote at all. I know he has a Femme Fatale out, and breaking Archer with Femme is expensive, but he has more than enough credits to do so. So I'm very worried about that, and I know that the later this game goes, the worse it will be for me. He has a KT that is running very hard, and Rachel Beckman to complement that. 5 clicks a turn, that's no joke. He's not going to get any tags anytime soon. So he installs his fairy, he has his entire rig, now he sneak doors me. I'm fine with him sneak dooring, there are no agendas in hand. He can take the shock. And the Melange obviously gets trashed. Unfortunately, there's only one face down card in Archives, the one that I power shut down. So yeah, that's the power of power shutdown. At least it taxed him a bit there. And he finishes his turn by gaining money. Lots of money. So basically nullifying my entire strategy of taxing him, because with so many credits, it doesn't really matter. His credit pool doesn't really matter at this point. He can trash all my stuff at any cost. Alright, so I do Jackson draw, and I finally found the wisdom to shuffle stuff back with Jackson Howard, including a power shutdown. I should have shuffled both power shutdowns here. I'm not sure why I wanted Melange. There's no time to click for Melange at this stage of the game. So I slid the Hokusai Grid in the remote. Again, this hopefully inducing or baiting him to make a run on my remote. So he femmes the innermost piece of ice on R&D, which I'm very happy about. It's a wall static. It's useless. I can get rid of it anytime. At least he didn't fem my big ice, the Grim and the Archer. So here, do I rest the Archer? Do I rest the Archer? I know he can break through it with Fairy for 4 credits. Yes, I rest the Archer. Tax him. The whole point of installing the Hokusai Grid there was to tax him like crazy. So not raising the Archer is a mistake. I definitely want to tax him, and that I sure did, because he used his Fem instead of Fairy to pay for breaking Archer. All 16 credits of it. 12 credits. And another 4 credits for Lotus Field. So I basically erased half his credit pool. And all he got for that was 1 net damage. So that was a huge victory for me. Very, very important that I managed that. In the meantime, I'm actually not seeing my agendas. There's still 3 more future perfects in my deck, along with 1 clone retirement, and a Chronos project. I'll be waiting for that. In the meantime, he prepares more card draw and more money. At this point, R&D looks kind of weak. I know that one R&D run can easily do me in simply because he has an R&D interface installed. Seeing 2 cards from my deck is probably going to be game, because there are 2 vulnerable agendas in the form of Clone Retirement and Chronos Project waiting to be stolen in my 16 card deck. So right now I just gain money with Celebrity Gift. And luckily I didn't have to show him my future perfect. It's sitting in my hand now, he probably doesn't know it. And since he has no memory for Sneak Door, he cannot Sneak Door me either. So now passing the turn over to me. Most of these eyes are rendered useless right now. I'm now searching for my power shutdown. I don't find it. Instead, I'm just going to induce another bluff in my remote. Hopefully he'll run my executive bootcamp. At this point, it's pretty useless, the bootcamp. There's nothing I need to tutor. And the 1 rest cost discount doesn't really help. At this point, it's just there to induce bluffs. But it's kind of useless at inducing bluffs because I'm not at match point. If I was at match point, he would definitely think twice about running my remote. But for him right now, the easiest method is just going through R&D. And it's times like this that I wish the Hokusai Grid was a Caprice Nisei instead. I use Hokusai Grid simply because it's much more expensive to trash, makes R&D less porous, and more importantly, deals net damage that allows me to combo with Chronos Project. But sadly, it's not going to work here, and he found the Chronos Project to win the game. Again, some severe misplays there. Executive Bootcamp cost me 1 influencer pop to include. I should be using it more than just shocks number 4, 5, and 6. They should be a versatile tutor, a solution to my current needs. Bringing out Jackson when it's most needed so that I can reshuffle power shutdowns back in my deck is huge, because I only run 2 power shutdowns. Not enough influence for 3, because I have to fit Archer as well. Looking back, the Sneak Door runs definitely cost me the game. Had it not been for that, I would have been on at least 5 or 6 agenda points, and he would have to run my remote every single time I put a card in there, which would have given me a much better shot of victory. So I need to be really much more careful against IDs like Leela Patel and Ian Sterling. Place immense pressure on me to keep agendas in my hand instead of scoring them out. And that is where they can capitalize on a flooded HQ. And he certainly did it right there to his benefit. So, lesson learned. Thanks for watching Happy Net Running.